Now, from the formula of xk, and there will be 8 such xk's for k equal to 0 to 7. So from these, we try to derive how I can get back the original sequence point xn's. I should get back original sequence point xn's. So, rather than thinking in vacuum, we have provided an opportunity to think with some guideline that x, since it's an invertible transformation, every xk was a weighted sum of all xn's. Since it's an invertible transformation, we can go by matrix inversion also, but by that and by this discussion we are coming at same thing. Every xn will also be a weighted sum of xk's. Every xn will also be a weighted sum of xk's. Right? Then the question is to determine the weights, to determine what is this. Right? Then it, for given n, it runs for all k's. For given n, each expression runs for 8 terms with k variant. xk what we had got was an expression which was providing me for given k, it was running for all n's. Expression of xk consists of 8 terms for given k and all n's, and the expression of xn which we are deriving now runs with 8 terms for given n and all k's, for given n and all k's. So this eventually is again summation, right? This is, what is this? It's again summation, right? So if xn is equal to k equal to 0 to 7 xk, then can I write back again and this is what I want to find out. Can I write this? Can I write this? There may be some confusion who think something. Those who do not think, for them the question of confusion doesn't arise. So, merely means for those who think there may be some confusion. Then, but creating a confusion to merely plead that they are thinking is not correct. So, what kind of confusion is there in writing this? What is the confusion now? A small confusion may arise, that is, n is here, again n is running like this. A small confusion may arise. Small confusion may arise. So how can we get rid of this confusion? How can we get rid of this confusion? We will replace the index as this is m. This m. And ultimately we assign these weights. This is to be found out such that what we get is xm itself. So xm is xn. Means we are able to find inverse transform into this. So what we want, somehow I should have this weight such that this double summation must result to xn only. This double summation must result to xn only when that is possible.
When that the multiplier will be multiplier will cancel that.
The multiplier will what it should cancel? It should cancel effect of these weights. You should cancel these weights because I am having xn. So I am having this xk as summation of xn into a weight. Now I should multiply this by its canceller. What is that?
Minus k.
It is Wn raised to minus k. Wn like this actually. Wn raised to minus k. So when we were writing xm, it was found out. When we put that, we see what it comes out. So what it come out now? How I will be able to regroup it in neat manner. So it is Wn. There is see that in a brute force method, you'll say, oh, what is that? W is to k, W is minus k, and it goes and it becomes 1. Is it so simple? So how we can effectively prove that yes, they really cancel and we get one term? How? How we can do that? So it's an outside, there is an inside sum and there is an outside sum. So how you can effectively prove that yes, it really cancels. So for this n, for this n, we have a given k, and so we get an inside sum which runs for a given k for all n's, and when that is actually xk, and then we have a sum which runs for all k's and given n. So ultimately, how you will be effectively dealing with it? By integrating the order of summation, can you do something? Can you write W raised to k in some different manner, like that? So you just think on these issues. But if we widely accept, yes, these do cancel, then what remains?
X of n.
If they cancel, then what remains? If they do cancel, what remains? So and what? What should happen now? What should remain? Let us prima facie we find that it may cancel.
7 times xn.
So it should be
8 times.
k equal to 0 to 7.
8 times xn. n times.
and xn only. K equal to 0 to 7 xn. What will happen then? Will there be a k in the term? No. So, what would be summation of k running from 0 to 7 of xn?
8 times. n times xn.
It is
8 times xn.
8 times xn. Right? K equal to 0 xn. It has nothing to do with 0. Plus again xn for k equal to 1. Plus again xn. It is 8 times xn. Right? And that's what I wanted actually. Just I will divide by 1 by 8. So I can say that this is summation xk wn raised to minus, I should not write kn, but better write nk, because k is outside, because k is being summed up, because k I am summing. Nk k equal to 0 to n minus 1, I can now say this becomes capital N into xn. So this becomes capital N into xn, and naturally when I want xn, it goes, it is 1 upon n, this summation xk w raised to minus n. This is the formula for inverse discrete Fourier transform. This is the formula for inverse discrete Fourier transform. This is presumed that you would be coming out with an effective explanation for cancellation of w raised to k and w raised to minus k. So 1 upon n xk wn raised to minus nk is the formula for inverse discrete Fourier transform. Then a simple question: how you would be finding out inverse discrete Fourier transform by fast algorithm? Can you find inverse discrete Fourier transform by fast algorithm? But there one care is required. In finding discrete Fourier transform, that care was not required, because the formula of discrete Fourier transform was not getting any factor of n or 1 upon n. But for inverse discrete Fourier transform, a factor of
n should be multiple of 2 raised to.
A factor of 1 upon n comes into picture. So it must be taken care of very effectively in deriving the formula for inverse DFT in fast Fourier transform algorithm. Are you getting me? DFT and IDFT. We have the very similar formulae. One doesn't contain n, capital N, as a multiplier, other contains 1 upon n as a multiplier. So in such situation, what problem will occur is that when we devise the algorithm for finding out inverse DFT in a fast manner, at the end step we are required to multiply by 1 upon capital. Is it clear? So, I think that we had discussed more than enough for fast Fourier transform algorithms. Then one more thing is remained. Suppose if we have to find a 9-point algorithm. What we are finding out?
FFT method.
We are talking about 9-point DFT. 9 point means usually we go with the order of index of 2, but it's not a prerequisite. So the task for you for today afternoon is the 2 tasks. You will be coming up with the books. One is developing algorithms for FFT to find out 9-point DFT and 15-point DFT. 9-point DFT and 15-point DFTs are to be found out by using 9-point DFTs, 3-point DFTs, and 15-point DFT, 1 5-point and 1 3-point. Right? So the group work for today afternoon, first group work is developing algorithms for 9-point and 15-point DFTs to compute them in fast manner. So I think the problem is described and you are well equipped. So those who do not have tutorials will remain in the class and start working. I may come any time. You should inform me when you are leaving the 200-meter circle. And at the end, you will form suitable groups of minimum 3, maximum 4 students. Minimum 3 and maximum 4 students, and you will solve that, and you will be submitting all those things. The groups you may form for every session differently, so that you will get a good exposure to heterogeneous groupings. Group and group roll numbers you will be writing. And what you did, so you would be, today is 1 session and tomorrow and day after there are 8, so there 9 sessions are there. So for each session, each group will represent a 4-page, means double page submission. Then let us now go for some properties of DFT. Let us go for some properties of DFT. Then it has got a circular conversion concept. What I am trying, I tried my level best to explain to everybody what DFT is in few weeks back, hoping that those who understood are well conversant with the concept, but still few might not have understood. So for them, we are explaining the things as just a number game. Ultimately, DSP is a number game. And discrete Fourier transform in particular is just conversion of one set of numbers into another set of numbers, with very clear logic that Wn is e raised to minus j2y by n, is a point on unit circle, is a of the form a plus jb, or is a comma b, where a comma b is an ordered pair. Then at least there are 2 ways. the group work is to begin afternoon. So one way is to understand DFT fully and then going it with. Otherwise, even if it is not understood, the other things of computation of DFT, its properties, fast computing algorithms, all these things can be understood even if we are unaware of the significance of DFT, because it is just a number crunching. So that is understood by a good person, by a person who is good at elementary mathematics. That's all. A person having good high school algebra can understand these things very easily. So from that point of view, we are developing these things. So there are different properties of DFT. There are different properties of DFT, which I think we had learnt last time, which you must not be remembering. We try to rework again. I hope that you will compile all those recorded sessions, which have been recorded by. I think you are given yours to him. You have recorded few things, no? You have transferred to him. They are still with you. So you give it, so that we can have a collection of DSP sessions. And so, can you list few properties now? Can you list few properties? Only list right now, then prove. Only list is to be done right now, listing is to be done right now, and then proving is in the afternoon session. So two tasks, one is 9-point and 15-point DFT, and the other is rigorous working on DFT properties, stating, proving and explaining. That is in the afternoon. So we will list few of the properties now. On that I will elaborate something which will prepare the ground for afternoon session. So what those are? In the weekend session, which is an interactive session, you may be permitted to express your views on the points which you may desire. Those expressions are not allowed in a lecture session. So now we are in the classroom, even though it is a flexible one, even though the agenda is not fixed, the agenda is determined by me. So let us proceed. So DFT properties, can you list this linearity and all that? Don't list those properties. List the significant properties of DFT.
Periodicity.
Parseval's theory is very, very much fond of complex things. One is the convolution property, and second is shifting, which we can say. So, if I have a sequence, endpoints x0, x1, x2, x3 up to x7, I just shift the sequence. Since it's a fixed point sequence, shifting it is actually circular shifting. It's a fixed point sequence, not infinite sequence. When it's infinite sequence, I can shift. It is 0 on previous side, 0 on the other sides. But when it's a circular sequence, x0, x1 up to x7, a shifted sequence is x1, x2 up to x7 and x0. A shifted sequence. So it's a modulo n shift. It's a modulo capital N shift. It is a modulo capital N shift. So if I shift the sequence by k, what would be its DFT? Or if I shift DFT, what would be its sequence? If I, what is the shifted DFT of shifted sequence? Original DFT multiplied by something. Its inverse is already known. Then we may work on what will happen if I go on computing DFT throughout. I think I had assigned you one task which is still incomplete. What was that?
DFT of
Try to find out the relationship between the original sequence and DFT of its DFT. Have you found out the relationship? What is that?
टेस्ट लगा लेंगे
What is the relationship? Huh?
n into s
4 into
n is the
n into
n into x
multiplied by the sequence gets reversed. So again that since and all obviously the group work includes all unfinished group work still now, and especially the students in the defaulter list would be the performance of the students in the defaulter list would be rigorously monitored in the group work. Now they should become leaders. It will be very rigorously monitored. Okay, anyway. So then what happens there? That you do come out with a solution. Then you will be coming up with a book. So there are some properties listed. DFT of a real sequence. DFT of a real sequence means, I again repeat that when we say a sequence xn, what I said? When we say sequence xn, what we mean? We should mean what we say. We should mean what we listen. So what you mean by a sequence xn? A set of points. Where the points are lying. He's right, he's coming to the answer. A sequence is a set of points, or an ordered set of points, but where the points are lying. What is it?
3D plane.
What is it? 3D. Who said 3D? So points are not necessarily lying on a single line, but they are lying anywhere in the plane. So each xn is an ordered pair. Each xn is an ordered pair that I repeat. Right? It may be a real sequence or it may be a complex sequence. The real sequence is a special case of complex sequence. Points on a line are a special case of points in a plane. So, if we have such a real sequence, means if I am having xn's such that the imaginary part or the second element of the ordered pair is all zeros, then I can say that I actually have not a full length sequence, I have half sequence. A real sequence of length n is practically for all purposes a real sequence of length n is practically for all purposes what I said? a real sequence of capital N points is for all practical purposes a set of n by 2 points only. Because a sequence of n points means I should get 2 n numbers. Do you agree with me? A set of n points I mean xn is the sequence. If I have an n point sequence, I have 2n numbers because each point in the sequence is comprised of an ordered pair. So an n point sequence I mean 2n numbers. But when I say that I have n point real sequence, means I only have n numbers because I am sure that others are 0, so they did not be specified. So I have n numbers means I can say that I have an n by 2 point sequence because it also gives n numbers. So the idea of this n point sequence or idea of this xn to be a 2-dimensional number, its freedom to lie anywhere in a plane, that must be very much neatly imbibed by you within yourselves. Unless you do that, the confusion will not be diffused. So whenever you look at the properties, you look at the properties with xn to be a 2-dimensional number. Then we talk about energy in a sequence. So for that, we are concerned about the magnitude. Magnitude is its distance from the origin. It is connected to the distance from the origin. Therefore, we get individual part square and its square root, maybe sometimes. Then what are some other remaining properties? One is circular convolution, that is very much important, that I will be explaining in detail. But that explanation would be on Monday. So, recording off.